I dreamt I was taking the train home from Thunder Bay, so Thunder Bay to Toronto, and I got on the train and we were going along, and it wasn't until hours later that they announced that our next stop would be Napanee, and I realized I was on the train to Ottawa, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do about that. But that's sort of a side part of the dream on the train. The main part was that I was in the back seat, the last seat at the very back, and the back of the train was open. It was open air. And so I could have easily fallen out, but I wasn't actually worried about that at all, because it just seems to be the way that you traveled on trains sometimes. And there were some interesting characters on the train. There was a businessman sitting 2 seats in front of me. The seats right in front of me were empty. And there were a few other people. It was really noisy because there was a lot of sound from the wind and traffic and everything. Because we were also traveling on the highway. We were on a train on the highway. And it was like on the 401, there was a lot of traffic. And one of the weird things that the train would do is individual cars of the train would zoom by on the road. And sometimes they would connect to other trains, and sometimes they would disconnect from the trains. And I witnessed 2 trains connecting, and the way that they would do it is one would be going along and then the other would just catch up and link, and then they'd go along together. And I knew that was going to happen to us because we were open at the back where I was, and there were quite a few. I could see a few cars up the road. So I decided I wanted to move. I wanted to move my seat because I didn't want to be there when another car sort of smashed into us on purpose. But I thought that would be jolting. So I tried to get into the seats right in front of me, but they were pushed forward a lot, and so there wasn't really any room between those seats and the next seats. But I could put the seat back and I could fit in there, so I did. But it was still really uncomfortable, so I didn't stay there. I ended up moving up ahead quite a bit, and then I sort of mentioned, a couple of people near me asked why I moved, or they said, "Oh, you moved in case we get joined up with another car, eh?" And then that started the conversation, and our train was itself only one car, and so the conductor was right up front driving along, and everybody was sort of talking about it, and he's like, "Well, do you want us to do it?" And so he positioned himself in front of one of the other cars and slowed down a bit, and then joined us up with another car, and then it suddenly got really quiet. It was really nice. So I started talking to my neighbors on the train, the other seats, and there was one kid, young, like maybe 19 or younger, like 16 or something, and he sort of looked like a punk, and he said that he was coming home from art school, and he talked a lot, and I can't remember everything that he talked about, but it turned out he's coming up from Nebraska. He had taken the train from Nebraska to somewhere to somewhere to somewhere, and now he was on this train. And that's when they announced that next stop was going to be Napanee, and that we were on our way to Ottawa. And then I remembered that when I got on the train, it had a number, so it was like via something 1 or something like that, and I knew that there was another number, so that looked the same but had a different number, and so but I didn't care. I just wanted to get on the train, and I do that with the buses up here. So that's probably why I got on the wrong train. And I was trying to figure out what the hell I was gonna do in Ottawa. Who's I gonna stay with, and where was I gonna stay? But I had plenty of money, so I could easily stay at a hotel. It was just a train ticket from Ottawa to Toronto was gonna cost me a lot. But it was a pretty good dream. And then another dream that took place in an insanely massive apartment condo. My parents were there and my grandparents were there. Oh shoot! I wish I could remember that one because that was kind of interesting, but but it's not there. Anyway, that was my dream.